run earlier, but run smarter. Now, piggybacking off of what I was just talking about, I am glad that I had some background of running in high school, through cross country, when I was in college, during the Army ROTC program, and then when I went on active duty in the military when I was at Fort Benning for a year and then Fort Hood as an infantry platoon leader. Now, I remember to this day being at Fort Benning, and there were some really fast second lieutenants, some really fast Army officers that I was surrounded by. And when we'd go out on our runs, we would do what was called ability group runs. So there'd be an Alpha group, a Bravo group, and a Charlie group. And each one of those groups was broken down based off of how fast you would run your 2-mile assessment for the Army PT test. So you could run in these ability groups and run in formation based off of how fast you were compared to the other people in your platoon or your group. And even if I had to run in B group, I would put myself in A group and just hold on for dear life. And I remember running in A group with some really fast dudes, and they'd be cooking. I don't know what the mileage pace was now, but it was fast for me back then. And they were moving, they were running fast in formation, holding conversation. And I remember just barely holding on, trying to breathe. And someone making a comment this one time, his last name was actually Boone. I believe it was Merlin Boone. And he was like, man, Bear. Because everyone used to call me Bear then. Even in high school, everyone called me Bear. No one ever called me Nick. Like, Bear, like for a bigger guy, you're really holding pace with us up here. And I couldn't even respond because I was trying to breathe to maintain pace with them. But I'd always push myself. So from high school to college to post-college and then into my civilian life, I've always been running, and I'm glad that I built a strong foundation of running early on, which I would highly recommend. Now, to start running, you might look at my mileage now and say, well, I don't have time to run 50 to 75 miles a week, nor do I want to run 50 to 75 miles a week, because it might take away from what my other goals are in that moment of time. And that's okay. You don't have to run high intensity. You don't have to run high volume. You don't even have to run if you don't want to. But maintaining a level of cardiovascular conditioning is important for many reasons, not only for longevity and just the positive impact it makes on your lungs and your heart and your mind and your body as a whole, but maintaining some sort of level of aerobic conditioning allows you to hold a level of fitness that you can build off of into the future. So even back then, those earlier days, my mileage wasn't crazy high. We were running a few days a week, a few miles at a time. But if there's one thing I would have changed, is that I would have learned how to run smarter. I wouldn't have put myself in that Alpha group. I would have put myself where I belonged, in that Bravo group. You've probably heard me talk about, to the ultimate extent that I could ever talk about it, the MAF 180 formula. The Maffetone 180 formula. And the reason I've talked about this so much in the past is because it game changed my running ability. It taught me so much, and I wish I would have discovered this earlier, because it would have helped me become a better runner. It would have helped me mitigate risk of injury early on. I would have built a stronger aerobic base, and I probably would have liked running more earlier. Because when I first started running for those first couple of years, I hated it because it was just a struggle fest, because I was running my easy runs way too hard. And as we know, the way that you get faster is by actually running slower, because we need to build this aerobic foundation, this aerobic base. The MAF 180 formula is where you take 180 minus your age, and that will give you a number. And that number is your max aerobic heart rate, which means that when you go out on these, what are deemed easy runs, you don't want your heart rate to exceed your max aerobic heart rate. And what this does is it allows you to train the aerobic system at the right heart rate threshold so you can build an aerobic base. And that base gets stronger and stronger and stronger the more time you spend below your max aerobic heart rate. That's how you actually end up getting faster. You become more aerobically efficient. So one of the best ways to do this is to wear a chest strap heart rate monitor and sync it to your smartwatch. I wear a Garmin. I've rotated between the Garmin Phoenix series. Right now I'm wearing the Garmin Epics, which I love. But you can sync your Garmin to your chest strap heart rate monitor and then watch in real time from your watch to ensure that you are running below your max aerobic heart rate. I was running my easy runs way too hard. And if I would have run my easy runs easy meaning below my max aerobic heart rate, I would have, like I said, built a stronger aerobic foundation. I would have gotten faster. I probably would have enjoyed running more. I probably would have experienced the runner's high years and years and years prior to when I actually did. So it's running the right amount of miles, which depends on your goal and when you're getting started, at the right intensity, meaning easy runs easy, hard runs hard. And I really want to reinforce that, just like someone said in, I think it was Rob Lipsett when I was reading those comments, you can't compare your chapter 1 or your year 1 to someone else's chapter 10 or year 10. So if you look at someone on social media and they're running 70 miles a week, it would be wrong, it would be ignorant, it would be dangerous for you to just start running 75 or 70 miles a week based off your comparison to the person you're watching. Because your aerobic foundation isn't there yet. And you're going to get injured, you're going to get hurt, you're going to have these overuse, nagging injuries that flare up all the time. So find your chapter 1, find your day 1, your year 1, and be in that and learn and adapt and grow and slowly progress where you're adding mileage and you're getting faster. But you got to be patient. It's the hardest part about running. It's the hardest part about training. And it's the hardest part about fitness as a whole for a lot of people is you got to play the long game. You have to be patient. And if you want to get faster, if you want to run a fast marathon, you have to apply endurance. And endurance requires patience.